Here's my spoiler review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, click off this video, go watch the movie, then come back to this video because you do not want to get spoiled for this movie. But anyways, here's my spoiler review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I'm just going to talk about the ending real fast. So Star-Lord announces to his team that he's leaving, and then Mantis leaves too. And then so Star-Lord makes Rocket the new member of the Guardians. And yeah, that was a really smart choice. I was happy they did that. Because if we look at the past movies, it's kind of been like going like towards that direction kind of. And Rocket's like a good fit to lead the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'll talk more about him later. Star-Lord's arc has been fulfilled. It ends when he meets his grandfather. He goes back to Earth and talks to his grandfather. And yeah, this was the best way they could have closed out Peter Quill's arc. It was like the best way they could have done it as well. I feel like they couldn't have done it any better. They done it the best way they could. Now, in my review for Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, I posted it. I said that a character didn't really have a satisfying arc, and that character is Drax. I feel like Drax didn't like have that arc. I felt like it would have been better if Drax died. Now, I don't want him to die, but I think it would have been better because his arc would have been fulfilled and he'll be with his wife and daughter again. But instead, he's like helping raise kids, which I mean, like, it goes along with the family thing, but I felt like it could have been better and ended off in a more satisfying way that you know that he's with his wife and daughter again. So I didn't really like this ending for Drax's arc. Mantis, it happened fast, but I was satisfied with it. Nebula in this movie changed as a person entirely. Like there's one so when Rocket like comes back to life, Nebula's crying over like the intercom thing. And that I like that setup because in Endgame they were building the relationship between Nebula and Rocket. So when that moment happened, I was like, wow, Nebula changed as a person entirely. Another thing, Nebula's arm is like the best. It looks so cool. Like there's the one scene where she's pulling the ships in. Her arm breaks out into like octopus tentacles and like attaches to it. And then she also pulls like a knife out of it. She has a gun in it. It looks awesome. And then yeah, Nebula's arc, looking after Nowhere. Yeah, because she says she's not like in her father's control anymore and stuff like that. It's a good send off for her. And then we're gonna talk about Gamora here for a second as well. Now I wish he fell back in love with Star-Lord. That was one thing I was speculating, and it did not happen. I felt like she should have fell in love with Star-Lord again, because throughout the movie, I felt like they were foreshadowing it, because they were like looking at each other and stuff like that. Especially near the final act, they started liking each other more. Specifically, Gamora to Star-Lord. She just started liking him more, like building that friendly bond. But then at the end of the movie, she left to join the Rangers again. And I feel like that wasn't the best thing to do with Gamora in this movie. Because if they fell in love again, it will make it like work better. But they didn't fall in love again. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess Gamora leaving's the reason why Star-Lord went back to Earth. But I mean, like, I felt like there was a better way to handle Gamora here instead of wanting to attack everybody. Talk about Groot. He said, "I love you guys" at the end. I mean, like, I'm mixed on that. Like, should he have said "We are Groot" or should he have said "I love you guys"? Because he said "I love you guys," and I don't really know what I think about that. Okay, so let's skip to the beginning of the movie. So the beginning of the movie, Rocket is attacked. He's on the brink of dying, and the gang has to go save Rocket. And it's a good plot. Most people say it could be better, but yeah, we don't really see a lot of Rocket. I was gonna say that in my original review, but at the same time, it's kind of a spoiler because the trailers didn't really say that, so I didn't say that. But yeah, we didn't get much of Rocket, and if you're a Rocket fan, you do not get a lot of him. Speaking of Rocket, so his death, we'll come back to that later. Let's talk about his backstory. Okay, so Lila Florentine. Like, before I watched the movie, I was speculating that Layla dies. I was just speculating that. And then when it happened, it added to Rocket's backstory so much. Everything throughout the franchise. There's more. Everything throughout the trilogy. You can see that. You can see that in Rocket. They did it in a really dark and emotional way as well. They didn't interrupt it with a joke like MCU usually does. But yeah, Rocket's backstory was so dark, and it added everything you want. Rocket's death. Rocket died, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, this is where I started crying throughout the rest of the film right here. It was more happy tears that Rocket was still alive after that. They were healing Rocket, and then my mind remembered that one scene of the trailer where Star-Lord is screaming no, and I was like, uh-oh, this is the same room. And then I was like, wait, are they gonna kill Rocket off? And then the scene happened. And then my eyes started watering. But then he was brought back to life. And then I was crying happy tears. And it was all over the place. But yeah, they brought Rocket back to life. I'm glad they did that. But no one dies in this film. All those videos ranking who's most likely to die or not, none of those happened. Last review, I said every character gets their moment. Yeah, every character did. Nebula did, Drax did, Mantis did, Kraglin did, Cosmo did, Star-Lord did, Rocket did, everyone did. Okay, now I'm gonna skip to where Star-Lord basically dies. I'm just gonna talk about then. So, like he doesn't make it. He falls down, but he instantly starts running towards the edge, like he knew that was gonna happen or something. And then he leaps out and then freezes. Groot can't catch him because he freezes over. And then I was like, are they really gonna kill off Star-Lord? And then no, they didn't. Adam Warlock saved him. And then that guy talked about first. Everyone but Drax had a satisfying end to their arc. Now I'm gonna jump to the post-credit scenes, both of them. So the first one is like, I assume is like 5 years, 6 years into the future, because Groot is like this massive warrior. He's huge. Like, I remember watching Baby Groot on the big screen, but then we have this huge Groot now showing up. And then, yeah, we get to hear Come and Get Your Love. The song that started it all is not going to be the song that ends it all. Which I was very happy about that, because Come and Get Your Love is very catchy. And I love that song from the first Guardians movie. And that just added more. And that just made it end the way it started. I liked how they did that. But yeah, we got to see the new Guardians that Rocket is now leading, with Kraglin, some random girl, Cosmo, and Groot. Everyone else is not there anymore. Now, I do not want a separate movie on these guys. This movie ended off the Guardians of the Galaxy. There should not be a movie focusing on Rocket's team now. If there is, fine. I feel like it won't be as good as the original. But the way it ended off, they should not make another Guardians movie. The ending was too perfect to have these characters come back again. Now, with the last post-credit scene, this is Star-Lord eating soup with his grandfather. Well, yeah. And then a couple of jokes in there. Then it says Star-Lord will return. Now, how? It depends how, which makes me like, how will he return? This is not, I mean, like, the only thing I can see him returning for is the Avengers. That's the only movie I see him returning for. I don't see him returning again. Like, why they even put that? I feel like he shouldn't return. I felt like he ended in a satisfying way. And you can just end his arc right here. You don't need him to return. Why? You do not need Star-Lord to return. You don't need any of these characters to return. Their arcs are done. They don't need a return. That was my spoiler talk for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.